great about that, other than trying to help people who are in a state of invasion.
Welcome back to the Immigration Answer Show. My name is Jim Hacking. This is episode number 1008 of the Immigration Answer Show, and today is Sunday, March 1st, the first day of March. Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk we'd already be in March? It's a beautiful day here in St. Louis. I got my hat on. Should I take it off? Nope. I have been running around all day, so I got on the treadmill. I went for my outside walk. I went to softball hitting with Noor. We go to the cages on Sundays usually, and she hits. She's wearing her Cornell gear wherever she goes. And then we went, Amani and Noor and I and my sister Carrie and my sister Molly and my brother-in-law Peter and my mother all met at my aunt's assisted living. She's moving into the nursing home side of things. I don't think I told you this, Laura, but my aunt has a glioblastoma, and she's been going downhill, my Aunt Alice. So Aunt Alice is my mom's next sister. So my mom was second and Alice was third. And Alice is a real character. When she was a kid, she would fight with all the kids in the neighborhood if they tried to beat up her little brothers. She stuck a broomstick in a kid's bike because as he was racing past, because he had hit her brother, and the kid went flying. So she's tough, Aunt Alice. She lived with us when I was a kid for a while, and she's coming sort of toward the end of the line. So it was we had to clean up all her stuff, box it all up, and I did this before when Amani's mom was getting close to the end. And you know, at the end of the day, we all have sort of too much stuff, too much junk. And we just moved Alice in there a year ago, less than a year ago, I think. And it's amazing how much junk piled up. So I was just dumping a bunch of stuff back in the dumpster a couple of minutes ago while the show was getting ready to get ready. So that makes me sad. One funny story about Aunt Alice was her husband, Jim Mastrangelo. He always liked to go to the zoo. And he was one of these guys who would go to the zoo and he would read every description of every animal. You know, back then they didn't have like virtual tours or anything. They just would have like a little placard for each animal, and he made us read each one. So after a couple of hours of this, I asked my aunt and uncle if they had a quarter, and they said, "Jimmy, why do you want a quarter? We'll get you whatever you want. Are you hungry?" I'm like, "No." "Well, what do you need a quarter for?" "Well, I want to call my mom and have her come pick me up because I'm tired." So that was sort of funny. But Alice moved in with my mom and dad. 1990 something. They lived with my mom and dad forever. So Alice was really helpful when my dad was getting sick. And then the thought was that Alice would live with my mom forever. But then she got really sick pretty soon after my dad died. She started having falls and stuff. So just a lesson to us all: clean out your junk. Don't leave it for other people to clean out for you. There's just so much junk. When I moved Amani's mom from our house into the old folks' home, she had a ton of stuff, including a long hidden can of peanuts, which my son Ibrahim had accused her of taking, and she had denied it. But I'm sorry too. I'm sad for Aunt Alice. She has a grown special needs son. It's going to be hard on him, my cousin Shane, and she's had a hard life, and I feel sorry for her certainly, and very fond of Aunt Alice. She's my godmother, and we've had lots of laughs over the years. But it was sad. I sat out with her a while. We were cleaning up the room and everything, and Nora hung out with her while we did all that, and then Alice came down, and I sort of sat with her a while, and it might be the last time I sort of sit with her where she's not like in a bed. So it's life is short. Life is sad. looks like somebody's talking trash. I guess we'll just have to kick him right on out of here. Today's Sunday. I don't have time to deal with idiots and morons and MAGA fools. So talk trash. You can masalama you. What was the other thing I was going to talk to you about? We had a trivia night last night. We went to a trivia night. And we were winning for a while, and then it all went downhill. They had a whole category, if you can believe it, on rainbows. And I'll tell you the question that screwed us up, because it was actually 2 questions. And I don't even think it's fair. I don't know if I'll say it correctly, but they wanted us to tell them which color is on the outer edge of a rainbow and which color is on the inner edge. We got those reversed, and so we didn't win trivia. But we had fun. But it was one of these trivia nights. It was very well organized. There were 56 tables. It was for Nora's softball team, and there was a silent auction like I've never seen before. They did 50-50. They did true or false, heads or tails, all that stuff, or dead or alive. And then, but it's one of these ones where the questions were way too easy. Way too easy. They did a women in sports category. And my mom came because my brother-in-law bagged out at the last minute. My mom pulled out Babe Diedrichson Zacharias, who I think was an Olympian like in the 40s. My mom pulled that one out, and everybody was very excited. All right. So it looks like the room's filling up. I will post the link if you want to ask me a question. I'll be here for the next hour and 20 minutes. And then we're going to an iftar, and then we're going to see Christopher Cross tonight. I'm very excited. A little yacht rock going. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember Christopher Cross, but he sings Sailing and Ride Like the Wind and the theme song from Arthur. So we're going to go to a little iftar at the Turkish Community Center, and then off to Christopher Cross. So dating myself a little bit, I've been watching the Yacht Rock documentary to get ready. And now I'm ready to talk about, no, Julian, she means that in Missouri, they're not very accommodating to LGBTQ people. That's what Laura's talking about, Julian, is that there weren't any pride flag questions. Yeah, I love Yacht Rock too. It was great. It's a great documentary on HBO. It makes me smile and happy whenever I watch it. All right. Alex, hello.
Hi, Jim. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. Sorry to hear about your aunt, and hope you're having a better Sunday.
Yeah. It's all good. It's just part of life.
I know you hate talking about the lawsuit, but because of some developments this morning, I've got a quick question. The shooting that happened in Austin by an American citizen of Senegalese descent, do you think it's going to have any impact on whatever the government is updating in their memo tomorrow, or the case at large?
First of all, I don't know anything about that because I've been watching the news today. There was a shooting in Austin.
Yeah, 3 people were shot dead by a Senegalese Muslim.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's too bad. Yeah, of course they'll use that to vilify everybody from Senegal, all the Muslims and everything. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know if it'll change their guidance for tomorrow. I mean, Senegal was already on the partial ban list. So I don't know. I don't think they're going to lift the ban tomorrow. I don't anticipate that happening. So I'm sure they'll try to get as much political hay out of it as they can and distract from the Epstein files. But I don't know that it'll change anything fundamentally.
Do you think the judges are smart enough to see past that?
Fingers crossed. It's not, and just to be clear, Alex, I don't hate talking about the case. I just don't like talking about the case when the judge has it under advisement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, because the wrong people might be watching.
Well, I don't want to say anything out of context. I don't want someone to play a clip of what I say back to her. I mean, not that they would, but I just, it's better for me to not talk about a case that's pending.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, Jim, and enjoy your show later.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that happen. Thanks, Alex. Thanks for the call. JJ, hello.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. Thank you for doing over 1,000 episodes helping all the immigrants. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
My question is about my potential VAWA application. One of the abusive things my U.S. citizen wife did was to use false sexual allegation to intimidate me. I'm worried that I'm not sure if I should include this part in the application because I'm worried that what if USCIS questions my character, thinking what if this guy really did it? What do you think, Jin?
So let's back up a little bit. So, and I'm sorry to hear you're having a hard time with your spouse. When did you come to the United States?
Over 10 years ago,
Okay. And what kind of a visa did you have when you came?
I had F1 student visa.
And did you graduate and do OPT and all that stuff?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what was your status at the time that you got married?
By the time I was married, I was overstaying my student visa.
By how long?
It's been just over a year, I believe.
So that means like you finished OPT and then you just didn't leave, or what?
No, I finished OPT and I started to pursue my master's.
Mm-hmm. And then you dropped out?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so you meet your U.S. citizen a year later. So around what time did you meet your spouse?
I met my U.S. citizen wife while I was getting my master's.
Okay. Okay. So roughly when did you get married? Like month and year?
Like just over 8 months.
No, I'm trying to figure out. So when did you file your I-130 and your 485?
She never did.
Okay. So here you are, you're a year out of status, you meet this woman, you got married, right?
Yes, I did.
And an I-130 and a 45 was never filed.
Never.
Okay, when did you sort of meet? I'm just trying to get my time frame right. So about when did you meet?
We met while I was in school when I still had
What year? What year?
2024.
Okay. So 2023 you fall out of status, 2024 you meet, or 2024 you meet and you fall out of status.
In 2025.
When did you get married?
In 2025.
Okay. And why was an I-130 and a 45 never filed?
I'm not sure. I think she might have used this immigration as a leverage. So we never really dig deep into this conversation. And even now, she petitioned divorce. She said she can withdraw it. It's just going back and forth. There was a lot of emotional roller coaster and stuff. So she never did.
Okay. So let's just okay. And then if I were to ask you, JJ, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much evidence of a shared life do you have?
I would say 5.
Okay. Like what marriage evidence do you have?
Like the primary ones are shared joint insurances, the car insurance, health insurance. We were also living together. We had a lease agreement. That's pretty much the primary ones. The secondary ones are like pictures, love letters, premarital counselings, couple counseling sessions we did, and stuff like that.
Okay. And then you don't have to go into great detail, but like broadly, what evidence of abuse do you have?
A lot.
Like?
I have pictures. I mean, I have recordings of her threatening me. And I screenshotted some of those. Text messages, witness letters, and stuff like that.
Witness letters?
Mm-hmm.
What do the witness letters say?
People who saw and heard the things that happened in my marriage.
Did she ever physically hurt you?
No.
Okay. So here's what it sounds like we got. We have someone who's a year out of status, who never had an I-130 45 on file, who has about a mid-level amount of marital evidence and has evidence of psychological and maybe threatening type abuse. I certainly don't think, in answer to your very first question, which is, should I include in there a false claim of sexual abuse? I mean, that's a question for your lawyer, because they're probably going to come knock on her door, and she's probably going to tell them about that. So you might want to get out in front of it. I don't think it necessarily helps your case. And I just would say, generally, you have to understand a couple things. Number one, they're suspicious of VAWA claims of people who were never married, who were never had an I-130 on file. They're suspicious of people who who get married and file for an immigration benefit after being out of status. They're suspicious of VAWA claims in general because they're the Trump people. Mm-hmm. And they're especially suspicious of VAWA claims made by men with alleged women perpetrators with no physical violence.
Yes.
And it's a really short, as David points out, it's a relatively short marriage.
Right. I know that the odds are kind of against me.
What do you think? What do you think the odds of success are?
I think it's not that high. I think it's not below 50, I would say.
Yeah, I would say like 10 or 20% is what I was thinking.
And you don't think including the false sexual allegations?
No, I think maybe you need to, because the first thing they're going to do is come knocking on her door, and she's going to shit all over you. So they're going to run with that story as fast as they can. Do I think you can pull this off without a lawyer? No. Do I think with even the best lawyer ever, you have a 20% chance? Yeah, maybe. But that's a very nuanced thing. You have to say, she threatened me with this. We're telling you about this. It's completely false, but we expect that if you talk to her, she's going to bring it up. And then, it's a really tough case. I think it's probably going to get denied, and you're probably going to end up in removal.
I see. Okay. I'll continue to think about this, but thank you so much for your advice.
Thank you, JJ. Yep. Have a good day.
You too.
FM, hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. I have a question about a J1 waiver. So a little bit about my situation. I was previously on a J1 physician J1 on which ended in mid of 2022. And then subsequently, once that ended, I filed for asylum. I recently had my asylum interview, and obviously the decisions are paused, but per my lawyer, my interview went great and she hopes for an approval. But seeing everything that's going on with the asylum situation, I also want to explore employment-based options. And for that, I know that I would still need a waiver, but I heard from someone that if you already have an asylum pending, if you file a waiver for the same reason, USCIS just holds the decision until one of those are decided. So I want to get your opinion. And then I just also want to mention that I have no other status other than a pending asylum. So I know if I even get an EB, I will need some sort of exemption, but I do qualify for 245I. So
you have an old I-130 on file for you?
My dad, my aunt filed for my dad in like the 1980s, and I have some evidence of that.
Okay, well, 245I doesn't really solve your problem. I mean, I assume you entered with inspection, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah. So that's not going to solve your waivery problem. So you have the 2-year home residency requirement.
Correct.
When you apply, on the day that you applied for asylum, were you still in valid status?
When I sent the email, it was like on the 30th day of the grace period, but the receipt notice is like 2 days after.
So the answer to that is probably no.
No. So I was 2 days out of status.
So my understanding is, I mean, you should understand that it's extremely difficult for USCIS to ever allow someone to treat their pending asylum case as a bridge between the status they used to have and the status they didn't used to have. So even when somebody files for asylum while in valid non-immigrant status, the chances of success, depending on where you live, can be anywhere from 20 to 60%. So that's very hard to get them to do. When you're out of status at the time that you file, it's almost impossible. So I don't know if you're going to be able to get an employment-based green card based on your timeline.
My understanding was that the 245I takes care of that.
I don't think so. It might. That's something I have never had to research. I believe that 245I cures long time overstays, not dropping out of status in between. But I might be wrong. I don't know. I don't know the answer to your question. I
Okay.
might be wrong. I might be wrong, but I don't think if I had to guess, I bet I'm not.
Okay. And then the question about the waiver, if I already have an asylum pending and I've filed a waiver for the same status, is it possible, or have you seen USCIS approve the waiver before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. DP, hello.
Hello, Jim. Good afternoon.
Good. What's up?
Hey, good afternoon. I'm sorry about my audio yesterday.
That's okay.
I just got let me give you a little bragging story. So I'm a U.S. citizen. My mom brought me here. I did my citizenship like 4 years ago. So I bring my first. I was married before. I bring my wife back home. Um, we have two kids. One born in my home country and one born here. But after we came here, like 4 years after we separated, we got divorced in 2023, and next year I going to get married again, and I'm filing for my fiance. I have already I approved I-130. We're doing consulate process. My wife interview is going to be on next Monday.
At the embassy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just wanted to know, like, how was the chances?
Well, there's a lot going on here. I mean, that's hard to say. So, what country are you from?
Guyana,
And so, when did you come to the United States from Guyana?
2016.
On what kind of a visa?
My mom filed for me.
Your mom got you a green card.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay. And your ex-wife came with you on that green card?
Yeah, she came like 2 years after I filed for her.
So you came by yourself
Yes.
Okay. When you came through your mom, you were single.
Yeah.
Then after you got your green card, you got married.
That's correct.
Did you get married before you got the green card or after you got the green card?
After, because when I went into the embassy, they said that I have to wait until I till I get the green card then to get married.
That was right.
Yeah.
And before that point, you said you had a kid that was born back in Guyana, right?
Yeah, he's over here. He's over here. He came with me.
I understand, but
Yeah.
But my question is, was he born before you got your green card?
Yes, he did. At the time, he was like almost 3 or 4. Yeah.
So what if they think that you and your first wife were already married when USCIS and the consulate gave you your green card?
No, we got married over here because she had a visa, a B1, B2, and we got married over here.
You didn't answer my question. My question is, what do you have that you and the mother of that child were not married in Guyana before you came to the United States? Because they think that lots of people act like they're single so as to be able to come on F2B or F1.
She was also on complete process too, from Guyana.
I understand, brother. I understand. But here's what I'm trying to get through your head, okay? The Trump people assume that everybody lied and that everybody lied to get an immigration benefit. So when they look at your case, they're going to look and see that when they look at your new case, they're going to look back and say, hey, how did this guy become a citizen? And they're going to go back and they're going to look and they're going to say, isn't this interesting? Was your mom a green card holder or a U.S. citizen?
A U.S. citizen.
So he came on the F1 category as the unmarried son of a U.S. citizen. But he'd already had a kid with this woman who he later claimed to marry in the United States and sponsor for a green card. Did you and your first wife have a religious marriage in Guyana?
No, we got married. No, we was never married. Was never married.
But how do you prove that?
Because I know I could not have married because all my mom filed for me. I know I couldn't marry, but we was together for quite a while.
Right. But and again, you didn't answer my question. Did you and she have a religious wedding?
No, Jim.
So were you and she living together before you got your visa to come to the United States?
Yeah, Mr. Jim.
I think they're going to come at your current wife and ask her all those questions I just asked you.
I think so too.
Yeah. Your ex-wife, is she in America now?
Yeah, she live over here.
Does she have citizenship?
She's supposed to do for. I didn't know. I don't know if she did it already, but I think she's supposed to do it.
What kind of contact do you have with her?
I mean, good, but not not so good.
Is she in a different city or the same city?
Same state.
Well, what if they think you actually have two wives? What if they think that?
No.
But you're laughing, but these are the kinds of things that they're going to ask about.
Okay.
All right. So I'll be interested to hear what happens when your current wife goes
to. What we have like a 12-year age gap. I already I was also mentioned to you. I have a son with my second wife too. An next kid with my second wife.
So you have two kids with wife number one of whom's a U.S. citizen, one was born in Guyana, and that one's
and he's two born in Guyana. The last one born in Guyana and one born here. So when he was born, I went back to Guyana in 2025, and I applied for his citizenship at the embassy there in Guyana for my last son.
He has a passport?
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I think it's gonna be a tough interview, brother. I think they're gonna have a hard time. I don't think they're gonna like the timeline.
But my wife, she also went in. My second wife also went in. She got a visa, so she come here we spent 2 Christmas together, and I went long back there 4 or 5 times since we dated.
I don't think we have to worry about. I don't think the problem with your case is whether you're really married to this person. I don't think that's the problem. The question is, were you married when you got your green card based on?
Oh no, I wasn't married. I wasn't.
But they're going to think that you were.
Okay.
All right.
No problem. I will call you back and give you an update.
That'd be great. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Yep. Shaky over. Hello.
Hey Jim, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm good. So today is 1st March, and finally, this month my date became current. I had a question. So I filed my 485 in 2022. At that time, the date was current in EB4 category, and then it got retrogressed. My 485 was pending for over 2 years until 2024. And then it got back in 2024 where it wasn't current anymore. And now it got current again, after 2 more years. So it's been 4 years since the 485 has been pending. So my question for you is, what's my possible action that I can take to, nudge USCIS to prove my case, because it's been a long time?
I would sue them tomorrow.
Just
we do that a lot for people who have retrogressed, that we're sort of ready for the visa bulletin to come out that says that they're current, and they go boom, and because when you have a case like yours, especially in the EB4 category, those are cases that they don't really see very often. But whenever a case retrogresses, it just causes real problems at USCIS. I don't think they're used to handling those. So you want to be like, as Amani, my wife would say, lighting your hair on fire and going like this. So if I were you, I would sue them this week to get them to pay attention to your case.
Okay, and is that gonna have a negative impact? Then thinking this guy's sued us.
Nope. I've sued them 2,100 times. They don't get mad. It's just business.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, let us know if you want our help, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Soledad is here. Hola, Soledad. Medium Rare says, DP isn't getting it. His entire immigration status unravels if they prove he was married before coming to the U.S. That's what they want. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you, Medium Rare, for saying it the right way. And then Gloria is back on the abuse case. He said it was psychological abuse. That's hard to prove. You need a psychological report. It's expensive unless you receive the protection of an NGO serving victims of DV or shelter. I still think that's a hard case. I think you're right. VV, hello.
Hey Jim, how are
Hi, V.
you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
So, my question, I'm working with your team filing lawsuit about my pending green card application. And a few days back, I joined a live show and asked about whether I can include my travel document, pending travel document in lawsuit. You said you can include. So I spoke with the team and they included the lawsuit. I mean, my pending travel document in the lawsuit is still draft mode. Last week, my wife's travel document got approved. So we can exclude that travel document.
You got to tell the team that. You can't tell. I don't deal with stuff like that on this show. You got to tell
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's background I'm just trying to give you. And my
Okay.
question is, so we filed my travel document like back in December 2024. Me and my wife, we applied together. My wife's travel document got approved last week. Mine is still pending.
Sure.
And is it a good sign or anything like, the pending green card application? I know, anyways, we are filing Mandamus, but lawsuit, but is it a good sign for to move my application, like green card application or my travel document next? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't think so. I never read. I was talking about this yesterday on the show. You can't read too much into it. It just, I don't think it means anything.
Okay, okay. So yeah, I was a primary applicant in my approved asylum. My wife, she's a dependent, even
But
though
even if you get the travel document, you're not going to travel, right?
no, we are not traveling like it. We just applied at the time, and so our application was pending, and it got approved last week.
Thanks, VV.
Thank you.
Bye, buddy. Yep.
Bye.
Herlene is here. Hello, Herlene. Oh, no camera, kiddo. We try not to put Herlene. We try not to put people's faces on the camera because we want people. There we go. There we go. Hi, Herlene.
Hi, how are you?
Well, how are you?
I'm doing well. I have a question. So, I am a US citizen and I applied for my husband who's from Haiti. Um, and so I was born in Haiti. I've lived here since I was 9. I became a US citizen and then I petitioned for him to come, but he came through the parole. Well, let me give you a little bit of background. So initially, we were going to do the fiance visa. We started the process, but then he got approved. But with everything that was going on in Haiti, things were stalled a bit. But then once they came with the humanitarian parole, I did the application for him. He got approved and he came here. We got married and we did the adjustment of status and everything, and we submitted. So he got his 5-year uh, work permit, but everything else is stalled. We have not, nothing else was approved. And we applied back in, it's been 2 years basically since we submitted the application for adjustment of status. So being that Haiti's on the band, is that why are we going to wait for a while now, or do you know what we should do? Should we get an attorney?
So USCIS takes the position since December 2nd of 2025 that they will not voluntarily process I-130s, I-45s, I-131 travel document, anything. They can't give any immigration benefits to people from Haiti and 38 other countries. So nothing is going to happen on your husband's case unless either USCIS changes their mind and starts processing those cases to completion like they're supposed to, or until a federal judge orders them to do that. Now, we have a lawsuit on file challenging that. We're waiting for the judge to rule on that. We might be filing a second case. So if you would like to, we might try to make it a class action, but we're also going to file a second lawsuit because the Supreme Court says judges can't issue nationwide injunctions for everybody unless it's a class action, and you have to file individual lawsuits. But we're still going to put people together in lawsuits. So if you and your husband want to get in the second lawsuit, you should email us at info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com.
Okay.
And we can add you to our list if we decide to do a second lawsuit in the next week or so.
Okay. Okay. Will do.
Make sense?
Makes sense. So in the meantime, there's really nothing else we can do. Just wait.
You're just chilling. And I hate to say it because I know it doesn't feel like it. Your husband's really lucky that he got that 5-year work card because most people aren't even getting that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So at least he's got that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank God for that.
Yep. See ya.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Damn, that's a sucky situation. That's right. She paid all that money, paid for the I-130, paid for the 45. And USA says, yeah, we don't really like people from Haiti, shithole country. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. So we're not going to give green cards or work cards or prove I-130s for those people. Terrible, terrible. All right. Adnarg1042 asks, hi, Jim. From the 2,100 lawsuits that you filed, how many cases have you won? I have won 0. I've won 0 cases. I filed 2,100 lawsuits and I have never won any of them. And the reason for that is because lawsuits are not about winning or losing. Lawsuits are about getting them to take action on a case. So if you're asking me, Jim, after you file a lawsuit against USCIS or the State Department, what percentage of cases get approved or get a final decision? Because when you sue, you can't ask the judge to give you a guaranteed approval. You're asking the judge to compel USCIS or the embassy to answer and give a final decision. So I would say we've gotten final decisions in about 90+% of those cases. And I would say that 90+% of them, 85% are approvals. So a lot of good things happen when you sue, but we never like go to trial or go to a full-blown arguments. You don't go to court. I don't go to court. It's just a way of get them to take your case off the shelf and start processing it again. So, all right. Agnarg says, that's awesome. Thank you. Yep. Yeah. Once I got really mad because the U.S. attorney for St. Louis was in and she's like, I'm 36-0 against Jim. She's a nice lady and she retired, but that made me mad because she never beat me. Because what you do is you sue them, you serve a copy, they start working on the case, then they issue a decision, then I dismiss the case. So there's no real final decision. Kiki, hello.
Hello, Jim. Thank you for doing this. So I am from Pakistan and I am a green card holder now. My case was approved in May 2025. So my question is, my husband is expected to be deployed in the February of 2027. So will that time period when he will be away from United States and away from me, what's going to happen to my 3 years of requirement to get my citizenship?
So I don't remember all the exact details, Kiki, but there is a way for you, Kiki, to get your citizenship faster and not have to wait the full time because you're married to someone who's being deployed.
Oh.
If you email me, I can talk to you about that and give you the details. We just did this for our friend Hina a little while ago, but we've done it several times. So if you want more details on that, I should probably make a video about it once I remind myself how it all works. But basically, you show your deployment papers and you can apply for citizenship early.
Oh, okay, Jim. My husband is also here, and I think he was trying to say something to you.
I read about that once, but I think it's for if a soldier is already deployed and then he meets someone foreign and marries them,
No,
then that person is able to get citizenship faster.
it's the same thing.
No. I didn't meet her when
Saying
I was
it doesn't,
deployed.
it doesn't matter when you met her. It's not because you met her while you're deployed. That's not the standard. The standard is whether you are deployed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I think it would probably apply to you. It might not apply right now since your deployment is 12 months away.
Right.
Yes.
But it might. I can give you all those details. Just send me an email and I'll give you the pointers for that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. How can I find your Gmail ID?
It's just info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com.
All right. Thank you so much. You are the best.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank
Have
you
a
for
good
your
day.
service.
Thank you.
Thinking about all the soldiers, some U.S. soldiers got killed yesterday for Trump's war. Sad, for sure. SP, hello.
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 How are you? Can
I'm
you
well.
hear me, Jim?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you for thank you for letting me ask my question.
Sure.
Okay, so my husband, sir, he's on H-1B. He's been on H-1B for a while. We have our what do you say, EB 2. The priority date is May 2016, which looks awful. I don't know when it's gonna happen anyways, the way it's going. I have been on H4, and my question to you is, do you think it's a good idea for me to get my own H1? I do plan on going through my employer and having them sponsor me, but what do you think? Like, is it a good option that I have my H1 as well?
Yes, I think it's a great idea.
Okay. And another question I have is that it's a little bit complicated. So in 2019, I had twin girls and I had really bad postpartum depression. My husband and I got into a row. He grabbed me from the back and I bit him, and the police arrested me.
Mm-hmm.
And then nothing. They just took me and they're released and they're like, what is this? This is too stupid. And then they dismissed the case themselves because nothing. It was between me and him. They dismissed the case, and then sometime later, the lawyer filed for expungement. So they expunged that, and after that, I did go to my home country and get the visa stamped twice, and I didn't have any trouble except for they got me for secondary processing, where they just made me wait a little bit extra, and then they didn't. Once they asked me questions, and then the other couple of times they didn't ask anything, they just let me go. My question to you is that do you think that with H-1B this would be a problem?
No,
Okay.
no. I think if you're just talking about an arrest with no prosecution, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So if I declare you, do you think that I expect some what do you say, like it's called something I can't remember, like evidence that you have to present and things like that? Or when I put my papers in, then they just like we declare and we uh give them the paper that
Well,
whatever.
I hate it when immigrants have a criminal thing that gets dropped and then they expunge it, because it makes it much harder to prove up to USCIS everything that happened. So hopefully, did you have a lawyer for that, or did you do it on your own?
No, we did have a lawyer for it.
So you need that complete file. You're going to need to walk the USCIS through all that.
Okay.
And
I have 3 papers as far as I remember. I have the arrest paper, I have the expungement record that they sent over the mail, and I think there's the court dismissal that I think that's all that there was to begin with.
I would check with the lawyer, make sure.
Okay. All right. All
All right.
right. So good idea for me to get H1. Okay.
Thanks, SP.
Thank you. Thanks for your time. I appreciate you.
Bye-bye. All right, let's go to I-45 EB1. Hello. I-45. All right. Are you there? We can't hear you. There's nobody in the waiting room. No one in the waiting room. Let me see what TikTok's got going on here. Discussing USCIS backlog on I-45 and I-130 cases. Ask about your legal options. Jim, do you think the DV lottery will be open in 2028? No, I don't. I'm a U.S. citizen petitioning my husband in Mexico. It's been 12 months since we filed the I-130. How much longer? Probably about 3 or 4 months. Thank you for taking my call, Mr. Hacking. You're doing the Lord's work. Well, thank you. If anybody wants to ask me a question, now would be a good time to come in. I'll post the link to the waiting room if you want to ask me something. There it is. Any updates on the 75 country pause? No, I don't have any updates on that. I haven't been following that case very sharply. Well, we can always end early if nobody has any questions. That's what Amani would say. If your I-751 is pending, should you get an I-551 stamp to be safe if you want to travel? You shouldn't travel until you get your citizenship. Will you be having another lawsuit soon? Yes, I think we might, Paulina. Text STEM teacher. Send us an email, info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com. Oh, here's one of my favorite questions. Can you take kids to the interviews? Maybe for citizenship, but I would not take them to a green card interview. The reason for that is if they start acting up, you're buying yourself a Stokes interview right away, because they're going to say, you go outside and watch the kid who's screaming, and I'm going to stay in here and ask them questions. So it's a bad play. I wouldn't do that. Thank you for representing me, Nicole says. Jim, I got my green card. Well, how about that? Thank you, Nicole. We're glad about that. All right. Is USCIS fighting against writs of Mandamus more aggressively now than in the past? No, I wouldn't say so. I would not say so. NJNP, hello.
Hey, how are you, Jim?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Good. So yeah, hey, well, I mean, I know you're talking to a lot of people, but I really have some good news I want to share with everybody. You know, so yeah, I sponsored my wife in December, and we got our interview on Friday, 27th of February. And right on the spot, the officer told us he approved our case. And on 28th, when I come back, check on the system, it says I-45 was approved. But I'm just wondering, but the I-130 still remain, unchanged. I just wondering, like, if that's normal or like.
No, the I-130 has to be approved, otherwise the 45 couldn't be approved.
But it's not reflected on the system, maybe.
That's wrong all the time.
Oh, okay. All right. So
why do you think your case went so quickly?
I think we have a lot of strong evidence, and also we submitted everything, and there's a lot of other things. I think we just be well prepared for the evidence we submitted. We submitted our travel records because since I met her. For in 2024, I went to her country to visit her twice, and also she came here to the United States, for visitor visa for about like 2 weeks, and also we went to other European countries for for about 10 days. So with everything together, I think the officer believe that we have a bona fide marriage. So, yeah.
How long was the interview itself?
It's just about 45 minutes, I think. Yeah.
Did they separate you?
No.
Great. I'm very happy for you. Thanks so much. That's good news.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, everybody, there's still cases getting approved pretty quickly. Not a lot of them. A lot of 45s. I mean, I guess I should have said, let's wait to see the green cards in hand, because that's really what matters. Jim, what are your thoughts on the Supreme Court voting tariffs to be unconstitutional? Well, I really liked Justice Gorsuch's concurrence, where he talked about how it's really hard to get Congress to pass legislation, but that's why the founding fathers set it up that way. So I think that language is going to be really helpful in my case and other cases, because that's, at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, if USCIS wants to stop processing cases from certain countries, then they should go to Congress and ask for the authority to do that. They don't have the authority to do that. Congress hasn't given them that authority in the Immigration and Nationality Act. So, There you go. And Justice Jackson's concurrence was brilliant, which I need to read that whole case to tell you the truth. Jade in the USA says, Mimi, it's 5 hours away. No one will watch her for 12 plus hours. Well, I mean, sometimes you got to bring them. Sometimes you got to bring them. I understand. I'm not saying that it's a hard and fast rule, but I would also say that people tell me things are impossible all the time. And then when I push them back, they miraculously figure out a way. But from an immigration standpoint, purely, it's better to not have kids at your interview, in my opinion. Jay, hello.
Hi, Jim. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for asking. I got a question for you. So I did file for my wife, and she went through the interview and everything at the embassy. But she's from one of the banned countries, and they didn't really ask much except from how did you meet your husband, and then they just handed her the 212 F. And so, curious in terms of, because I know there's some people that get the 212G, and then there's the F. And so, how's that difference? And is it big in terms of like what the expectation after the ban is left, and if it's left, like what would be the next steps?
I think that if the ban is lifted, she'll get another interview, and they just sort of went through the motions and said, here's your 212F, which is the president says he's not letting people from your country in. And so I think that practically they haven't really done the final analysis that they'll have to do before they issue her a visa, once they're able to issue her a visa, if that makes sense.
So like once the ban lifts, like do I reach out to the embassy to schedule like another interview?
Yeah. Yep.
So I don't need to do another order, like a new DS-260 application.
No.
I see.
I was trying to remember the other day, after the Muslim bans got lifted when Biden came into office, I think cases just started moving on their own. I don't remember there being a lot of having to like double or, contact them to get it started again. But certainly no one was filing new I-130s or new DS-260s. No, they definitely weren't having to do that.
Yeah, because I remember, I don't remember, like I know like they tell you that you need to keep your account active or something like within a year, otherwise
I don't think that applies to the pauses. I mean, obviously still do that, still reach out at least once a year, but I don't think, again, I've never heard them really holding anybody subject to a presidential ban to that requirement.
I see. And my last question was, with the ban, and it does fall in both the pause and the ban. So if the lawsuit for the 75 countries paused, get lifted, would that help, or that's still going to be a different case?
You're saying that your spouse's country is subject to the 2025 DOS ban and the 75 for the 39 countries, or the 19 and 20 countries and the 75.
Yeah, because she's from Yemen, and so Yemen falls under the 39, the original 39 and the 75.
So that's the real one you need to worry about. But no, if either one of them is in place, they are not going to give her a visa.
So for her to get a visa, it needs to be lifted from both the pause and the ban.
Those are both technically bans, but yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, buddy. Pending I-485. Hello. I-485. Hello.
Hey, hi, Jim. How are you?
Good.
Hey. Good. Yeah, so I have a question. My question is that I have an approved I-140 through the EB2 process. And last year in October, I submitted the I-485 application with my spouse. So we got an interview to be done in March this year. And right after changing her address or updating her address on the USCIS website, a few minutes, the interview was canceled. And we reached out to USCIS to know if it's going to be rescheduled or whatever is going to happen. And they said if it has to be rescheduled, then it will be done automatically. So it's been almost 3 weeks, and we're still waiting for what update is going to be. So my question then is going to be that when I came here on F1, and I'm still on F1 right now, and I did DoorDash, Uber Eats, and I realized it's unauthorized work. But then on the I-485 application, I selected no for the unauthorized work, and I'm not sure what the answer will be appropriate during the interview. If I'm being honest.
The answer is I
about
would. The
these-
answer is I
these-
would. The answer is I would. The answer is you got to turn off that audio, bro. You got to turn off that audio, bro. I'll just answer the question, and then he can watch the replay. So we just had this call the other day. A guy made $53 working for Uber. He's trying to get an employment-based green card. That's a violation of your status, and I believe it renders you ineligible to adjust status. So I think it's a big, big problem. I think it's going to keep him from being able to get his green card, I think. Serena asks, hello, Jim. Is the National Visa Center still working on banned country cases, or is it also on pause? They say they're working on them all the way up through interview. I don't believe them, but that's what they say. Medium Rare says, do people not have headphones? Interesting. Michelle says, kids don't like being in new places after a long car ride and can feel their parents being stressed and mimic their demeanor. Boy, that's a really insightful additional reason why you don't want to have your kids in your green card interview or otherwise. I like that. Pending I-485. Hello. You're on mute. All right. Well, looks like everybody's out of here. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap. Just do an hour-long show today. I am tired, and I had a long day, and I'm going to be out tonight. So we'll wrap after an hour today. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Tomorrow's show will be at 12:30. We'll go a full 90 tomorrow. 12:30 p.m. Central tomorrow. Monday. We'll do a show tomorrow. I hope you guys all have a great night. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.
I'm great about that, other than trying to help people who are in a state of invasion.